So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. So let's start the public talk. So my topic is really what is Buddhist psychotherapy. So these are the things what I am going to discuss with you. First thing, Buddha as great psychotherapist, psychopathology, mental illnesses and abnormal behavior, therapeutic process, as well as case study. So at the very beginning I should mention that all the things what I am going to bring here really from the early Buddhism, historical Buddhism. That's my main sources. So first of all I would like to draw your attention Buddha as great psychotherapist. So you can see a case study here. One lady, she's crying for her dead daughter. That's a topic. Why weep for her 84,000 daughters? Then background, a mother goes every day to the burning ground where her daughter's body was laid and weeps. Then Buddha really visited that place. Buddha went to the cemetery as a great psychotherapist. He did not wait until the client comes. That's a very important thing. So then Buddha, why are you crying? Then the lady, Ubbari, Pali term, I am crying for my daughters, sir. Then Buddha, in this burning ground have been burned 84 daughters of yours. For which one of these are you crying? It means that here there's a very special thing. That is, Buddha here used her cultural consciousness, her religious faith. So as Buddhists, we believe that we have a concept, a strong concept that is rebecoming, punabbhava. So in this context, rebecoming, we have another existences just after this life. So we call it punabbhava, rebecoming. So Buddha here used that concept. So in this burning ground, you have buried in your previous lives 84,000 daughters. Then for which one of these are you crying? This time you have lost only one, but earlier you have lost so many in your previous birth. So then for which one of these are you crying? Then she really understood that this is a huge process, continued process. If I am crying, no ending point. So Buddha really wanted to explain that concept. So crying, weeping, no ending process. But to explain her very clearly, Buddha used here her cultural consciousness, her religious idea. That's a very important thing. So according to the Buddhism, I rather would like to just stand. So according to the Buddhist explanation, there's a very important point, that is conceptual world. So in the outside there isn't a world. The world within ourselves. There's a sutra in Pali Buddhism, that is Rohi Tassa. In this Rohi Tassa Sutta, Buddha says that, so,
do you mind you use another color of the pen?
Yeah, okay.
Sorry for that.
Yeah, okay. Rohi Tassa Sutta, Rohi Tassa. In this Rohi Tassa Sutta, Buddha says that the world means within this pathong-long body. In the outside there isn't a world. So in the Buddhist psychotherapy, the very specific point is that when you have a client, we just try to figure out her conceptual world. So my world means my own world. So then Buddha used here her conceptual world, one idea, one element of her conceptual world because she is so bound to her religious belief that is re-becoming. So Buddha used it as a point. So then she was really able to understand that. Then she understood that the life process, the life is so continuous, so we cannot stop it. It is all the time being gone, started. So then we should try to find out a solution, stopping place. So then Buddha really understood and used her cultural understanding, religious faith, and from that point Buddha explained that. So in this burning ground have been burned 84 daughters of yours. For which one of these are you crying? Then she realized that. Then she here says that he has drawn out the arrow so hard to find that was in my heart. For I was overcoming with sorrow. He banished my sorrow for daughters. I here today am one of, an arrow has been drawn out. I am cut off from the world. I am to Nibbana. So this is the real point of the Buddhist psychotherapy, drawn out the arrow. Which sort of arrow? So it is totally attached to my mind, mentality. So drawing out the arrow from my mentality. Which sort of arrow? It is so full of poisons. So our mind has been polluted with some sort of defilement. They are really called as poisons. That means really desire, hatred, and delusion. In Buddhism we call lobha, dosa, moha. Why we are having this sort of problems, problematic behaviors, abnormal behaviors? So we are really being influenced by these defilement. Then we come up with so many abnormal behaviors and problematic behaviors. So then Buddha understood that. So drawing out this arrow, these are the arrows. That's the nature of Buddhist psychotherapy. So how to take them, how to pull them up, how to take them out, drawn out. So the way taking these poisons, arrow, we recognize this way as Ariya Virechana, noble catharsis. In Buddhism, Buddha explained here that Ariya Virechana. It just really, Arya means noble. Virechana means catharsis. So the way of Buddhism to take these defilement, we recognize that as noble catharsis, Arya Virechana. That's the meaning of drawing out the arrow. To eliminate these poisons from our heart. That's an important thing. So we recognize it as drawn out the arrow. So this is really, we recognize as Arya Virechana. There are some sutra. In that sutras, Buddha says that, venerables, my dear brethren, you will see that Ayurveda doctors in India, at that time the Ayurveda was very popular. So here Buddha says that as the Ayurveda doctors, what they are trying to, how they are trying to provide the physical well-being. So they have specific methods. So they concern that physical illnesses are occurred due to imbalance of phlegm, bile, air. Phlegm, bile, air. So Buddha here says that what the Ayurveda doctors are doing, I am also doing the same thing. But I am not going to deal with the physical illnesses, but I am going to deal with the psychological illnesses. These all psychological illnesses are caused due to these three poisoners: desire, hatred, delusions. So I am giving drugs, psychological drugs, which cause to noble vomiting and purgatory, loose motion. Drawing out the arrow as vomiting or purgatory. That's a Buddhist method. So if we try to really understand this methodology, so then we can see that there's a very systematic psychotherapy process in early Buddhism. So my limitation is really to the early Buddhism. So this is the method. So as a psychotherapist, so Buddha's role as the psychotherapist have been recognized in the sutras by following these two terms. Bisakko, peerless physician. Salakatto, supreme surgeon. So in Buddhism, the Buddha's main aim was to provide the knowledge to understand Nibbana. So but here we see that here really the role played by the Buddha really as a psychotherapist. These words, these terms have been used to understand not as a Buddha physician but as a psychotherapist. So when we just try to figure out this statement further, there's a very important sutra in early Buddhism. We see it as Sunakkatta. Sunakkatta. In this Sunakkatta Sutta, it is explained that when a person is already wounded by poisonous arrow, all the people, his relatives, so they bring the person to a surgeon. So he is so good at taking this arrow out. So the methodology is explaining here in this Sunakkatta Sutta what the what the surgeon is doing here. So he tries to take the arrow out. In the same way, when we have a psychological problem, when we have a psychological issue, when we see the Buddha also is also doing the same thing what the physician did, surgeon did. But it's not for the physical, but for the psychological issue. That's a very important thing. The Sunakkatta Sutta. So, according to my understanding, there are 100 suttas, more than 100 suttas, which explain Buddha as psychotherapist, psychologist. But this parable, this simile is very important. So it explains comparing Buddha to a surgeon, but not for a physical illnesses, but really for a psychological illnesses. For example, you can just read it. I am not going to read. So these are really the duties of the surgeon. Still not as the physician, psychotherapist, just as a physician, surgeon. This is the way of surgeon. When he find his patient to take the arrow out, he is doing in this way. This is his career. So the most important thing of this sutra, this sutra tries to explain that when Buddha meets a person, he is also doing a surgery, psychological surgery, to take these poisons, arrows out. That's so important. It means that if we carefully follow this way, Buddhist psychotherapeutic way, carefully in a systematic way, really we can bring about a very systematic, scientific, psychotherapeutic way from early Buddhism as well as in other Mahayana Buddhism even. But my focus is only to the early Buddhism. In the same way, you can see in the same way when the Buddha meets a patient, this is the way Buddha is paying towards his patient. the arrow, the poisonous arrow, ignorance, desire, ill will. When we are struggling with these things, so we are coming up with so many psychological issues. So later we can discuss what are the psychological issues Buddhism recognizes. This is also from the Sunakkata Sutta to explain that. This is very important point. So in Buddhism, we recognize that the individual as the mechanism of body and mind. We call Nama Rupa, mind-body mechanism. In this mind-body mechanism, Buddhism gives much priority to mind. Mind. Mind is the forerunner. The world is really mind-made, according to Buddhism. Outside, only the objects, material things. In accordance with my conceptual elements, conceptual points, I perceive the world. So then, we concern the individual as the five aggregate, five faculty. The first one is Rupa, it means physical body. Then Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, other things all are mental. So Buddhism gives only one point, only one place for a physical body, Rupa. Other alls, Vedana, feeling, Sanya, perception, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, mental force, formation, Vijnana, consciousness, really mind elements. So I recognize Buddhism as a mind-oriented religion. Mind-oriented. So there are so many sutras. According to the Aggañña Sutta, Aggañña. According to Aggañña Sutta, Aggañña. According to the Aggañña Sutta, it talks about how this world came into being. So, in this sutra, Buddha says that world came into being due to manifold causes. No one cause theory, according to Buddhism. Manifold causes. In these manifold causes, Buddha gives the priority to the mind. Mind. At the very beginning, there were mind beings. Only mentality, mind beings. But these mind beings, they had their own very subtle physical body. Physical body. In course of time, due to this ignorance, due to this desire, they little by little they had rough body. Earlier they had mind body, mind-made body. But they had very subtle physical body. When they are increasing their desire more and more, we got this sort of rough body. At the very beginning, no any difference as male and female. But in this mind body, they had only the consciousness as male and female. When they are increasing their desire more and more and more, they got the private part as male and female. So see, only simple explanation to see that how Buddhism has given the fire to the mind. There is a sutra, it is called Ahara, food sutra. We like it, Ahara, food. Ahara. Ahara means food. In this food sutra, Buddha talks about 4 kinds of foods. The first one is edible foods. Edible food for the survival of our body. Other 3 foods for the mind. Here Buddha says that if you are taking 1 food for the body, at the same time you should have 3 foods for the mentality. You should give much foods, not for the body, but for the mind. So then Buddhism is really a mind-oriented, big psychology. So time is not enough. So even Buddhism says that the sex as male and female really mind-made. If you give me another hour, so I can explain it. really mind made. So Buddha says that if somebody can change their mind, so they can change even their gender and sex. We discuss it in our class, sexuality and nibbana, 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours for the sexuality and nibbana. We discuss it. So if you need, you can take some notes from him. So the thing is that when we are developing our mentality to the utmost level, spirituality, Buddha says that in that utmost level, no any difference as female and male. When we are developing our spirituality to supramundane level, no difference as male and female. We are so equal. So this is how we understand Buddha as a psychotherapist. It's for a sex, gender, mind, so psychological illnesses as well as physical illnesses. So Buddha firstly gives the priority to the mind. So many, even psychosomatic illnesses, so many things. Problem is the time, but just try to understand. So these are the sutras. Really, I found Buddha as the great psychotherapist. Sallathena. In this sutta, Buddha says that, so mind and body, there is a reciprocal combination in between mind and body. We have a body. Due to this body, we create psychological illnesses. It means not only the psychological illnesses which are really, there are psychological illnesses which are really caused by physical factors, as well as there are psychological illnesses which are caused by psychological factors. These points have been really recognized in Sallathena Sutta. Psychological illnesses caused by physical factors, psychological illnesses caused by psychological factors. So when it comes to the Niddhamaniya Sutta, raining out, that's the meaning. Vamana, noble vomiting. Tikichaka, noble purgatory. Dhovana, noble washing. It means what? These are really concerning the defilement, desire. Desire, how to wash away the desire, hatred, how to eliminate hatred, delusion, how to washing, purgatory, vomiting, how to vomit this defilement from our mind to the outside, and how to get the mental well-being. So we see from these sutras, Buddha is really a psychotherapist. So Buddha, he explained, we are really having psychological illnesses, problematic behaviors, really due to defilement. In Buddhism, we give the priority to the desire, hatred, delusion. So until we recognize these delusions, until we recognize this desire, we are all the time overwhelmed by psychological illnesses as well as problematic behaviors. So how to eliminate them? These are the sutra. It's really from a psychological process. To eliminate these things, these are the poisons. We have a psychological process. This psychological process has been clearly documentary, has been clearly explained in these sutras. The way we recognize this as purging, it means vomiting. Vomiting. So we should vomit something. What are that things we have to vomit? Evil emotions. How to vomit? Understanding, attention, mindfulness, presence of mind, spiritual development. These are the things. So I am really inspired. I was very interested in this point really. Catharsis, noble catharsis. So when you read the Virechana Sutta, Vamana Sutta, Buddha explained, my main idea, my main triumph, my main focus to give the psychological drugs which cause to vomiting. To make them vomit this desire, hatred, fear and delusion. So the understanding is not enough. In Buddhism, we have a systematic way to vomit these emotions. The systematic way we recognize as Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Sila, behavioral transformation. At the very beginning, it's very difficult for us to totally eradicate these poisons. So firstly, we have to come up with the behavioral transformation. Sila means morality. So we change his behavior, behavioral transformation. Then we need to have a mental development. Samadhi means here concentration, it means mental development. Then cognitive transformation, wisdom. Morality, concentration, wisdom. So through the behavioral transformation, we bring the client to his own mental development. With his mental development, we provide him the chance, place to have an entire cognitive transformation. That's a very good explanation in Buddhism. When we are in the limited area, when we are in a village, it's very difficult for us to see the everything of the village because our eyesight is so limited. Everything what are happening in the village, very difficult for us to see because our eyesight is so limited, so many disturbances. But when we are climbing up the mountain of the village, being here we can see everything, what is happening. This is the point, cognitive transformation. But very difficult. Firstly, behavioral transformation. Then mental development. Then the culmination, it means a cognitive transformation. So then we bring in the client here and ask, now please look at the thing. What has really happened to you? So when we are in the problem, we cannot recognize. But when we are bringing the client in a systematic way, so we can provide him to see his own problem. Because problem within my conceptual world. There is a very good sutra, it is really Madhupindika. In this Madhupindika Sutta, it says that the proliferations, tendency to make proliferations. So we have created our own world regarding our proliferations, mental formation. So my world is my own. So it cannot be compared with the others. The way how I have been brought up from my childhood up to now, that's my world. That's my world. So it is totally different than the other. So Buddhism firstly tries to understand the conceptual world. Later our student will explain the things when they come to the case study. So the process in Buddhism to vomit these defilements, really we recognize we have a very systematic way, behavioral transformation, mental development, as well as cognitive transformation. So such things, while we are trying to come up with that process, in addition, so we try to build this spiritual development within the client. Within the client. So we need these things, loving kindness, metta. Loving kindness is really, it's a mental process. I have to develop it. So Buddha says in one sutra, it's really Cakkavatti Sihanada Sutta, Universal Monarch Sutta. In that sutta, Buddha says that when we are born to this world, we have brought two kinds of seeds. One is mundane seeds, mundane ability, mundane and supramundane. So we have the seeds of mundane. When we develop this mundane ability in a seeds form, when we develop to the optimum level, everybody can become a universal monarch. Universal monarch. when we develop our supramundane seeds into the optimum level, everybody can become a Buddha. We have that seeds. So the point is metta, loving kindness, we should all the time develop it in our mind. It's so mental. Then compassion is, according to my understanding, the compassion is so physical. If we have developed them in our mind, mentality, loving kindness, it comes with our physical action as karuna. If we have not developed loving kindness, no any support, no any physical action, physical behaviors for people, those who are having some problems. So in Pali, paradukke sati sadhunang hade kampanang karoti iti karuna. It means that when we see the others suffering, if we have a vibration in our heart, when we see others suffering, we have to have a vibration in our heart. Then we, being influenced by that vibration, we are all ready to support them. That vibration brings from where? Loving kindness. So if loving kindness is not there, no any reaction, physically, verbally. So most important thing. So we try in the Buddhist psychotherapy to cultivate these sort of spiritual seeds in a client mind. When, if not very difficult to have a behavioral transformation. Behavioral transformation. These are our process. So sympathetic joy means when I see my friend's development. So I have developed my mentality, in my mentality, loving kindness. So I don't feel any jealousy when the others are being developed. I don't have jealousy. Why? I have developed loving kindness in my mind. So when I see others' development, I personally enjoy it. Sometimes I cannot reach to that level. But I have developed loving kindness. So no any jealousy. Instead of jealousy, I enjoy sympathetic joy. But most important thing is loving kindness. If you have not developed loving kindness, no reaction, no sympathetic joy, no stable life. We have a vicissitude life. We are gaining profit and we lose it. So to have a stable life, so we need to practice loving kindness. So in the client's mind, while we are bringing the clients in this way, we try to cultivate these spiritual seeds in his mind. So by following these things from the early Buddhism, Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud's student, so he really appreciated this process. When you read Psychology and East, you will see that Carl Jung, he appreciated really. So you can read it. So Carl Jung is the person, is the student of the Sigmund Freud. So he really appreciated this process, really as a psychotherapist. So he says that when we just follow these things from the Buddhism, when you read this further and further, he says that people, when they have the headache, they want to have a sudden drugs to overcome the headache. In this way, people who are having the psychological illnesses, they really need to have a sudden treatment. Sudden treatments mean not only just going to a counseling sessions. We are all the time, when we have the psychological illnesses, we are used to go and meet psychotherapist or a counselor. Just after that, when we are having again such sort of problem, so we try to go and meet. But if we can bring a everlasting solution, so that sort of everlasting solution could be brought about from Buddhism. These are not my statement, Carl Jung. So he really has followed Buddhism. He really has studied Buddhism. Then later he comes to this conclusion. And 1902 in Harvard University, William James, Harvard University. William James, he really invited a Sri Lankan Buddhist monk, Anagarika Dharmapala. At that time he was a monk. So he was given a talk on impermanence. Impermanence. While he was delivering his talk on impermanence, William James said that you can take my time even and continue your talk further and further. So just after his talk was over, he said that please do remember that this psychology, Buddhist psychology, will be the psychology in the world next 25 all over the world who are learning, who are following. Just after his talk, he says that this psychology, I mean Buddhist psychology, will be the world psychology. It's from really Harvard University, 1902, William James. So they really understood. They really understood the value of Buddhism. According to my understanding, Buddha was not a Buddhist. Please excuse me. Buddha was not really a Buddhist. As well as Buddhism is neither religion nor philosophy. It's a path, it's a magga which leads to mental development and to overcome our sorrow, suffering. So everybody can follow Buddhism without harming to their religion, religious concept. So in Buddhism, we see that there is one story. In that story, Venerable Sariputta, he had so many other religious friends, friends from other religions. Once his one of friend Brahmin, he was dying. When he was dying, he went there, and the Venerable Sariputta developed his mentality to up to the Brahma, the God. Then he kept silent, and he died. Then just after coming back, Buddha asked that, why didn't you bring his knowledge to the Nibbana? Venerable Sir, he was an Brahmin. His religion is really depend on the God. I just stopped there. I did not want to convert him. Then Buddha kept silent. Buddha kept silent. Really, when we see the Buddhism now we have cultural Buddhism as Burmese Buddhism, Sri Lankan Buddhism. Now we are trying to figure out what should be the Hong Kong Buddhism. So anyhow, we discuss it. So anyhow, Buddhism is really a path which leads to mental development. So anyhow, these psychologists, psychotherapists, they have studied Buddhism well. From their perspective, they see that Buddhism really has a psychotherapy. Not only Carl Jung, you can see Robert H. Towles, Cambridge University psychologist, professor. You can see his statement. He says that, I think that primitive means really early Buddhism. Early Buddhism is what he recognized the early Buddhism as primitive, that's his term. I think that early Buddhism must be understood as a system of psychotherapy. Acceptance of the Christian faith may of course also give relief. So in this way, he says that Buddhism is really a system of psychotherapy. So we have Four Noble Truths. So when we understand Four Noble Truths, dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, there are three kinds of unsatisfactoriness: physical, psychological, cosmic. Cosmic suffering, physical suffering, psychological suffering, cosmic suffering. These are very easy for us. We can understand what is the cosmic suffering. That's the point. In this context, Buddha says that if we don't achieve Nibbana, in this very life, if we don't achieve Nibbana, we will have re-becoming more and more and more. So when we are having re-becoming more and more births, So we will have so many physical and psychological problems in that future births. Here rebecoming, my understanding is so psychological, not as really religious. So if we are not giving the solution, everlasting solution, so we should have to figure out what should be the everlasting solution. Everlasting solution to these physical and psychological problems is really liberation, emancipation, samam bonyu, nibbana. So if we don't realize nibbana, so we will have so many rebecomings. In that so many rebecomings, we will have so many physical and psychological illnesses. When we go to the first sutra of the Buddha, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. In this sutta, Buddha explained very sophisticated way, comprehensively explain what are these sufferings. So Buddhism mainly gives the main attention on really the cosmic, how to overcome the cosmic suffering. That's the main point. So if we give the everlasting solution to the cosmic suffering, it means when we are achieving Nibbana, just after the achievement of Nibbana, furthermore, no physical suffering, no psychological suffering. That's the first sutra, truth of suffering. When it comes to the samudaya, causes, it means lobha, dosa, moha. So we are having these all sufferings due to desire, hatred, delusion. So I little bit change, it should be dukkha, samudaya, nirodha, magga. So I little bit change according to my understanding. Then how we can overcome these causes? The way behavioral transformation, mental development, cognitive transformation. That's a magga. Magga means path, which is leading to everlasting solution. This is a magga. So if we follow this magga, we will have the peace in mind, liberation. So see, the Four Noble Truths really can be used to bring about new system as psychotherapy. That's the point. So then again you can see this Four Noble Truths. So this is from the modern understanding towards the Four Noble Truths. So they also understand the Four Noble Truths as a system of psychotherapy. In this system, when it comes to the psychopathology, firstly it gives the priority to desire, so this is mind, this is body, just like two bundle of bamboo. So two bundle of bamboo, when we are keeping together, they can exist themselves. When we are removing one, other will come down. That's our mind and body. So mind cannot be existed without body, body cannot be existed without mind. So in this process, Buddhism gives the priority to the mind. In this mind process, when it comes to the psychopathology, the defilement, we recognize three kinds of defilement: desire, hatred, we discuss it, delusion. So when it comes to the desire, there are three kinds of desires. That's so important. First one is kama tanha. Kama tanha means tanha, desire. The desire to fulfill my five senses: eye, nose, tongue. We are really individuals who are being influenced by the desire. So it's good. We need to have the desire, but there should be a limitation. If we increase in desire more and more and more, it's a problem. If we don't have a desire, it's also a problem. We have to have in a middle way. So The kama tanha is the desire to fulfill my five senses. Kama tanha. So when I am fulfilling my desires related to my five faculty, so I need to have it more and more and more and more. This is just like, according to Sigmund Freud, pleasure principle. So when I am having that experiences more and more and more, so I need to, so firstly I just experience it, so I need to have it more and more and more. So it becomes re-becoming really. Bhava means re-becoming. So I am experiencing the fulfilling my senses. So just after my experience of the senses gratification, so I want to have it more and more and more. So we call it as what? Bhava-tanha. Just after having some experience, so in my mind I keep it as experience, because everything is not permanent. So I had a very great satisfaction on that. So now it's finished, but I keep the memory in my mind as permanent. Why? Everything is not permanent. But the experience what I got it, I want to take it more and more and more. So I keep recorded in my mind. So such experiences influence me to take it more and more and more. Then it becomes bhava. Bhava-tanha. So Bhava-tanha. So these are the two principles of the desire. But when it comes to the nature, nature is really impermanence, anicca. These are my wishes, but these wishes all the time cannot be fulfilled. Why? Everything is being changed. So my desires are so strong, but I have to face to some disturbances. Suppose impermanence. Impermanence comes in various forms. In front of my impermanences, because I have obstacle to fulfill my needs, so this desire create another another mental reaction, that is hate. Hate really comes due to desire. Hate means desire. But here hate means when I am being disturbed by fulfilling my desire, desire creates hate. The people who are trying to commit suicide, the behind them really the desire. But they were unable to fulfill their desire. Then it comes as hate. The hatred is of two forms. Some people they try to hate, they try to revenge from themselves. We call it as attantapa. Atta means myself. Some people they don't like to get the revenge from themselves, but they try to get the revenge from the other society. Parantapa. Or there are some people they are taking revenge from themselves as well as the other. Then three types. Taking revenge from oneself, taking revenge from the society, or both sides. This is really, hate means really the desire. When we are when we are under the influence of hatred, we cannot see the things as they are. So really delusions also comes due to desire. So now we are in the point of getting revenge. When we are in the point of getting revenge, so we are so influenced by the hate, we cannot see the things as they are. We recognize this as delusion. Delusion. So delusion is the cause, or ignorance, fundamental misknowledge is the cause which leads to so many psychological issues or abnormal behaviors. So we recognize it as vibhava tanha. Here tanha due to hate. So craving for sense gratification, desire, craving for self-preservation, desire, craving for annihilation, this due to hate. Annihilation comes due to hate. So these are the poisons in our mentality. Buddha tries to remove them, wash them away. We recognize this methodology as Arya Virechana, noble catharsis, noble vomiting. So Buddha arranges a place to vomit and see myself. Just after vomit, I can see how many things I have already eaten. Oh, foods. So then I can understand what are the bad elements in my mentality. Or Buddha gives the drugs which causes to loose motion. Very bad smell. But these poisons are so bad smell. So we should not keep this sort of bad mentality within myself. Buddha says that if you are keeping such, so you will come up with so many psychological issues as well as abnormal behaviors, especially regarding psychosomatic. Psychosomatic. There's a huge reading regarding psychosomatic. Once Venerable Anuruddha's sister, she was giving foods to the Buddha. Suddenly Buddha saw her leg, some rash, skin disorder. Then Buddha explained here, she got this skin disorder due to her hatred. So give her chance to vomit her hate, then she can recover that skin disorder. So that's a point in Buddhism. So we recognize this whole system as noble catharsis, noble vomiting. So but when it comes to the Buddhism, this is really the hierarchical form of needs before the Maslow. Buddha has already explained it in the Patta Kamma Sutta, hierarchical form of needs. This is really as self-actualization according to the Maslow. Buddha has already explained this in Patta Kamma Sutta. First, primary and secondary. We have the desire towards primary and secondary needs. When we fulfill our primary and secondary needs, we can go to Nibbana? No, we cannot go to Buddhahood, even though we have fulfilled. So desire itself change into another form as fame. In that position, if I have fulfilled my all desires, primary, secondary, suppose now I am having a luxury life, everything is with me, but my desire is still with me. So I change my desire into fame. So when I am getting fame, so I experience the world, so I need to live long life. That's desire. So when I fulfill my long life, so I have experienced everything in this world, so now I try to figure out, are there any special desires in heaven? Can I go there and enjoy? That's a desire Buddha explained. Desire is so strong. It cannot be easily overcome. Step by step, gradual method. Desire should be with us. Why you are here today? Desire to learn Dhamma. It's a good thing according to Buddhism. It's a good thing. So desire we should have. But it should be so moral. It should be so ethical. That's the thing. And it should be balanced. I am also here due to desire to get this one from Hong Kong. So then, this is the very important thing. Self-preservation. It's really due to desire. We are really desire. So how to understand these very subtle layers of the desire? So you have to learn Buddhist psychology. Buddhist psychology means Abhidhamma. Please come to our course. Abhidhamma, Buddhist metaphysics. It talks Chitta, Chaitasika, Rupa, Nibbana. Chitta, mind. Chaitasika, mental concomitants, very serious layers of the mentality. Huge. Chitta, mind, consciousness. And mental concomitants. And this is the Abhidhamma. You will have a very huge text. Very interesting when you are studying it. So these things have been already explained in Abhidhamma. How desire is so strong. Even though, for example, when it goes to, so then these are unenlightened. So unenlightened, all worldlings are deranged, unenlightened. So you are unenlightened, including myself. So then unenlightened. So all unenlightened are deranged, mentally ill. That's a Buddhist explanation. So, stream winner, the person who has really developed his mind, mentality, and now he is in a process which is leading to Nibbana. He is enlightened, but still his mind is full of desire. Desire. This is the Sotapanna level, stream winner level. Even though you are in the process of stream winner level, Sotapanna, you are really going to Nibbana. You are not coming back to this Kama Avachara. You are going there, but still in your mind desire is there. So that's why you are remaining in the family life, but you are enlightened. So you bring forth your children, you feed them, but your process is not going back to the unlawful, the unenlightened levels, but you are going up. But the thing is that still you have the desire. When it comes to once returner, now you are so close to Nibbana, you have one step more, but you have the desire. We are only one time he comes back, but the thing is that he really does not come to this level, unenlightened level. But the thing is that now he is so close to Nibbana, but desire is there. Here desire means desire to immaterial things. Here desire means to enjoy the jhanic experiences, that is jhanic experiences, not for a sex really. But here also to enjoy the jhanic experiences, not for a sex really. Here really, sorry, here for the sex, but half, not full. That's the point. He has the desire for a sensual and sexual, in other rest for a jhanic experience. But what I am trying to explain here is that in Buddhist psychotherapy, Buddhism, when we have the client, we try to figure out how his desire is so strong and how we have to manage it. That's a process we are trying to figure out here. That's why Carl Jung explained this as really a process of psychology. That's how Taulas explained that this really as a psychotherapy. In 1902, William James at the Harvard University, that's why he explained this is really as a psychology. So now time has come for us to enjoy this and study this with our understandings. So the delusion, not only the desire, when it comes to delusion, full of delusion, non-returner level events, the delusion. Avijja, fundamental misknowledge. So just after going to the liberation, no delusion. Furthermore, no delusion. So we don't have another rebecoming. That's a Buddhist understanding on the psychology of human mind. They are really highly enlightened people, but ignorance, fundamental misknowledge, identification to the conceptual is still remaining. So when it comes to the mental illnesses, there are two kinds of illnesses according to the Buddha. Buddha talks about Roga Sutta, Disease Sutta, Roga Sutta, Disease Sutta. Buddha here says that there are two kinds of diseases. One is physical, other one is mental. So we have a chance to get rid of physical illnesses for a 1 year, 2 year, even for 100, we can get rid of. But except an Arahant, all are suffering from mental diseases minute by minute. This is 2600 years back. So Buddha's main concern was how to give a solution for these mental diseases from the Roga Sutta. Roga Sutta. We have a chance to get rid of physical illnesses for a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, Buddha says. At that time there was highly developed Ayurvedic medical system. Buddha talks by following such medical system. But here Buddha says that my duty is to bring a everlasting solution for a psychological illnesses. Except an arahant, other all means unenlightened, and we discuss some enlightened beings, streaminal level, one returner level, non-returner level, they also have very slight mental disorders in their mind. Not only for unenlightened. Some enlightened beings even, they have developed their mentality to up level, but they have very slight narcissistic residue, elements of the identification. Until they are reaching to the Nibbana, ignorance is there. So how we can overcome these such? So Buddha explain. So Buddha explained various kinds of, the mental illnesses due to this physical body, due to this mental body. It is so interconnected. There is a reciprocal combination in between mind and body. So due to this combination, we are having psychological illnesses. When it comes to the Vattupama Sutta, Vattupama means how to wash the cloth, how we can wash away the dirty things from the cloth. In that way, how we can wash away the bad emotional aspects from my mentality. So I see just as some kinds of mental illnesses. So when it comes to again another sutta, Salleka, in the Salleka Sutta it talks about 44 kinds of mental illnesses. According to my understanding, so collecting all the mental disorders from the whole Buddhism, there are 1,510 kinds of mental disorders from the early Buddhism. 1,510. Regarding desire, hatred and delusion. Only 3 we have. By following these 3, it becomes 1,510. Problem is the time. So, all worldlings are deranged. So many. So we have the personality analysis types. By following these types, we find so many mental disorders. Please come to my next Buddhist psychotherapy class next year. So types of personality, again we are continuing the same. See, so many types, personality type. Yeah. So if you give me 2 or 3 hours to discuss personality, we can discuss. Huge personality. Okay. Then finally, by following all these things, this is the very oldest classification of the mental illnesses in the history. Very old classification. Jataka, previous birth of the Buddha. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So illnesses. Calm is due to desire. Greed, psychological. Cause is really psychological. This is krodha, dosa, psychological. Moha, delusion, psychological. Again, moha. Sorry, this is ditti, it means view, wrong view. It's also come to the moha, delusion. Then moha, really. Then yakunmattako, it means really the delusion, it means the god attack or a devil, demon's attack. It's due to the god or a demon attacks, we pollute our mind. So it becomes moha, but the cause is parapsychological. So due to the bile, phlegm, imbalance of the bile, phlegm, air, that's a physiological factors. Due to this imbalance of the bile, phlegm, air, we are having some sort of psychological illnesses, but this is really from the biological. So if somebody has so much desire, Buddhism says that it causes to increase the bile of the body. If you have so much desire, it causes to increase the bile, it causes to increase the phlegm of the body, phlegm. If you have so much hatred, it causes to increase the bile of the body. If you have so much delusion, it causes to increase the air of the body. That's Buddhist understand. Interrelated. When the desire comes to body, it becomes phlegm. When hate comes to body, it becomes bile. When delusion comes to body, it becomes air. This is a very historical analysis on mental illnesses. Long, long ago. For the first time in the world history. I searched other things even. I studied Western psychotherapy for my postgraduate. So, but I see this as a very old classification of the mental illnesses. Okay. So, we have 6 kind of characters. So, desire character. Then just after desire, hatred, delusion, it comes to the character types. So, when you read the path of purification, Visuddhimagga, it explains why you are having desire. These are really so much psychological. Psychological. This is the desire character, this is the hate character, this is the delusion. We all have our own ways and means. The people who are, if for example, it explains that how desire character comes to the class, saying hello, goodbye, how are you today? So it's nice to see you. That's a desire character. He keeps his the feeds carefully, nice, so attractive, desire character. When the hater character comes, he just touch everything. Oh, hate. When deluded character comes to the class, you see delusion, somebody is talking, he just pays attention due to delusion. Again he comes, oh, today is the public talk of psychotherapy, I should go there. And again somebody is, hello, how are you? Then delusion. Due to delusion, he cannot remind his steps. Desire character is Buddhism appreciate. He is a creative one. When we develop the desire character to the positive way, he becomes faithful character. When we change the hate into positive, he becomes intellectual. But we cannot change the delusion. Even though we change the delusion, he becomes speculative character. Speculative. This is the Buddhist understanding. When we are going through the whole Visuddhimagga, path of purification, how to eradicate my delusions, huge text is commentary, you can see. One of our students nowadays, she is now studying it a little bit. It's a very good text. Okay. The action, so see, desire, hatred, delusion, it increases into 16, it increases into 44, it increases into 550, like this. Then again come to character type S3. Extended, again come to a systematic way. So in this way we are discussing the Visuddhimagga, and these are finally the problematic behaviors of all desire, hatred, deluded, speculative. Then finally we have 4 kinds of problematic character types. Desire, hatred, deluded. Deluded means another problematic aspects of the speculative, means another step of the deluded. So this is the path of purification, path of stream winner. He is so developed, enlightened. He is free from these 3. Even though he is enlightened, he has these sort of defilement. We call them as Arya Savaka. We worship these people according to culture. But they are only free from these things, but still they are struggling to remove these. Enlightened. Arya Savaka, noble followers. They have developed their mind. Another development of the path of one's returner, he is free, but he is having. It means not only the unenlightened, even enlightened, the individual who have developed their mentality to the optimum level, they are also struggling with very subtle mental illnesses. So the therapeutic process, the clients are all the time either past or the future according to Buddhism. They are not living in the present. So see, all the time they try to go past or future. This is from the Baddhe Karatta Sutta in Buddhism. So our therapeutic process to bring them to the present. This is from Baddhi Karatta Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya. So this is the treatment process. I think that's enough, no? That's enough. I think our student will do the rest. Thank you very much for your keen attention.
This is a real case study, part of some 2,000 case studies that involves the counseling center that Professor Wasantha is involved, along with his students, PhD, and also undergraduate students as well, and also the community. So in this specific role play, the facts are based on a real life situation. So as you can see on the TV, this case involves the client, who is a woman who refuses to get out of bed. Okay? So on my right, we have Tian in the red t-shirt, and she will play multiple roles. For some of you can see already 4 stickers on her body. So just like Professor said, 1 mind and 4 1 body, 4 mentality, but this is a little bit reversed. But the 4 roles, one is the patient who is married and 36 years old. And then there's also the patient's husband, okay? And then also in her world or her network, there's also the patient's brother and also the brother's wife. So all these members will come alive when a specific question is asked directing to one of these specific members. Okay? So Tian is a professional in the sense of changing, and she will take multiple roles. And Benny here will be the psychotherapy theorist. So, theorist, very specific. So he will be directing questions and practicing the art of careful listening or attentive listening, which is a very important skill set in this whole process. And then sitting in the audience, also observing, taking notes, is Ada, and she will, at a later point, share with us the analysis of the whole situation, including her conceptual world and what is actually the main complaints, the problems, prognosis, and treatment, etc., etc. Okay? So I'll pass.
So first come out for the one who come out to Jai talk, the therapist. In fact, do you all have this summary sheet in hand? Yeah, it's more easy to understand because can you approach any projections on the screen will be better if this checklist could be projected. Okay. Anyway, my job is the easier part because I'm going to summarize just what Professor Wasantha has said in this single sheet. First of all, you have seen many triangle or pyramids in the talk. Now you have to put the pyramid horizontally with the apex pointing left. Here is the bottom. Here is the bottom of the pyramid. First of all, we would have macro scanning. If you are the cameraman, you have to zoom out to have the widest scopes of the landscape, but now is for the client. You must have a macro look of the client or her background, her problem, her mentality. But at this stage, the first line, we call it listening. You just listen without any mindset, without any of your own judgment. Our common problem is always that we try to hurry to have our own judgment. Oh, I understood, she must be that problem. Don't be have that judgment so early at this stage. Just listen. Otherwise, with your mindset, you will distort what the reality is. And second, you still have the open mind, but you have to list out all her problem set out by her, or sometimes like this client, she don't like to talk. Then you have to motivate, to encourage her to talk, and even after doing that, you can't motivate her. You must ask her relative, such as her husband, her brothers or sister, or someone closer to her, to obtain the information as much as possible, so that you have macro scanning. And then after all the data you collected, and you know many problems or many possible causes of the problem, you just prioritize them out. Here is called retention. In fact, you try to prioritize them objectively with an open mind first, which is the simplest questions, which is the next difficult, and which is the most serious and difficult problem to be tackled later. And then going into the middle of the horizontal pyramid is called memorizing. It may be difficult to understand. You call it, it's a mindful process. After you collect all the data, you have to use your own knowledge, your own experience to prioritize or to check out what have you prioritized, to identify what is the real problem. We move on. What is the real problem of that client? Based on your knowledge, experience, and your intelligence. And if you can identify all the problem, then come to the most important part. Is we now almost up to the apex of the triangle or the pyramid. Is you have to make use of your knowledge to classify the characters. You remember well, there are so many characters, but only remember for the time being the three major characters. The desire, the hatred, and the confusions, or delusion. But you use a more common term, you better, his or her mind is confused. We may use confusions for more easy understanding. Then you have to classify which types of character she or he is. And then knowing that this kind of character, you have to know how she conceptualized her own difficulties, her own problem. What is her perception in mind? And then with these characters and understood her perception in mind, then we will have the pathology to pinpoint what kind of solutions, or in our the prescriptions, in our common medical point is the prescription to tackle that problem. As you can see finally at the bottom of the left-hand side, in fact there are also three types of solutions or treatment to deal with the problem. The sila one, that means the behavior, to change the behavior, to tackle the corresponding characters, such as the desire. And the next is, in fact, is the mental development, is to help the client to concentrate, to mindful on or focus on the problem and the question she have. And the last one is the cognitive transformation, to change his mindset or her mindset, so that he can realize the reality as is, knowing his problem and how to finally to liberate her mind herself. So this is what I can talk about for the moment. And then next should be the client. Is it the guy?
So in here we really used here the Buddhist principle. The first one is sutta, it's mean listening. So these are all from the Buddhist fundamental, how Buddha used to understand the problem. So it's just like here. So the psychopathology, we are bringing all the details in this way. This is a psychopathology. It's very important. Then the character type. Then we decide the treatment. Really, this whole process we concern as catharsis, vomiting. So we encourage our client to explain his problem. There are so many counseling skills really from the Buddhism. This is the process. In this process, we understand the causes and the problems, especially the character type. There are not almost time we cannot find out the fixed character. It may be hatred plus desire. 71st, suppose desire or hatred, and links with the others even. But most probably we give the priority which is the most strong defilement here, whether it is hate or a desire. So we are bringing in this way to the psychopathology, then we decide what the character type he is having, then the treatment. When it comes to treatment, behavioral transformation, mental development, cognitive transformation. We have so many approaches for behavior transformation. Mental development we are using special the samadhi or a concentration meditation, tranquilized meditation to come up with this cognitive transformation, the mindfulness. Most probably when it goes to the West we see this Kabat Singh, MBCT, mindfulness based cognitive therapy. But according to my understanding and my research, I see that mindfulness is not enough really. When we are coming up with only the mindfulness, so mindfulness is very good to just to come to some sort of calm down way, but to see the problems with my own understanding. So I have to come to the cognitive transformation according to the Buddhism. So we develop it little bit more. Okay, our client.
So I just go ahead and monologue?
Yeah.
Okay, so this person first. Patient. Okay. These days I have no energy. I'm sorry. I just have no energy to talk. I don't want to be here. I know I'm here because everyone's worried about me, but I have no energy. I just want to... I know that I should get out of bed, but I have no energy to get out of bed. I know that I'm not doing things well because I don't get out of bed and I don't wash myself and I don't eat. But I have no energy. Okay, the husband. We're very, very worried about her. My wife, she's a lovely, lovely, lovely person. I fell in love with her because she's kind and generous and giving. But in the last year, she has stopped talking and has stopped going out and stopped visiting with her friends. And at first it was okay because she said that there's too many people out there, and so she was at home and that was okay for us. And she would still talk to the helpers and organize the helpers. And every day when I come home, we would have a lovely time. But the longer it has gone, the less she's able to do. She first then started just going to the bedroom, and then she will get up but not do much. But in the last month, she's basically not gotten up. And I really want her to have an enjoyable life, and I want her to be that self that, that was lovely and gracious and kind and giving and a lovely person to be with. So could you help us find out why she will not get up? We took her to the doctors and they said that there's nothing wrong physically with her. Right? There's nothing wrong with her brain and there's nothing wrong with her thyroid where she's, no energy, and there's nothing wrong with anything that they can check out. But so we don't know. Friend of ours said that it would maybe the mind, so it would be good for us to come and talk to you. Patient's wife?
Brothers.
No, the patient's brother, the wife of the patient's brother. I don't know why I'm here. I don't have much to do with her. She doesn't come around, she just stays in her house, so I don't know why I'm here. I think I'm here because my husband wants me here. And the brother, we've been together ever since she was alive. I'm her brother. I'm supposed to take care of her. I'm her older brother, and I took care of her, of course, until she got married. But our father took care of us. But when our father passed away, I took care of her. So I really do want her to have a good life. I don't think it's anything wrong with her. So, but we don't know what's going on. So the patient. I know everybody's worried about me, but I don't know. I cannot get up. If you can help me, that would be good.
Yeah. Okay.
So, hi everyone, I'm the psychotherapist. You still see the chart. Do we have to see the chart here? So after listening to the client's complaint, we can see that she has been confined to the bedroom for a period of time, for 1 month. And if we are going to see the retention, the second part, the apparent problem, the first obvious problem, is that she has not come out of bed since 1 month ago. The second part, where is the serious part of the illness, is that the patient lost interest in many different kinds of activities, which she used to be doing before the 1 month's time. And the last thing, it seems that from the husband's description of the patient problem, originally she is still going out, and then she's confined to the home, and then later on she even refused to come out of the bedroom. So it seems that there has been a gradual shrinking in terms of her physical space and psychological space. And for this case, it seems that there is a risk of suicide and attempts to destroy herself. So this is the order for the second column. What has really happened? What has really happened in this case? The brother said that the brother's wife said that there has been nothing to do with her. But in fact, in this case, the brother's wife has been the one who started forbidding the patient to visit their home.
That's why the wife says we don't see her.
We don't see her.
Brother's place, she stopped.
She stopped, yes. The brother's wife actually stopped the patient from visiting her brother. So the patient was very disappointed and also very upset as a result of not being capable of visiting the brother. Okay, so that's the part from the brother's wife. And the brother, for the brother's part, the brother actually just let these things happen, just let his own wife forbidding the patient from visiting her home. So we can move on to the last part.
This thing is really, okay.
The thing is, you want me to talk a little bit on the patient's point of view?
The situation is better to explain. They had been brought up from together.
Yes, okay. The brother and the sister has been brought up all the way been together. And since the passing away of the parents, actually the brother and the sister wanted to stay close to one another to be capable of taking care of each other. And the patient also considered it very important to be capable of visiting the brother and taking care of the brother, even though the brother has moved on and has his own family with his own wife. Okay, so that's the part on what has really happened. For the analysis part, for the conceptual world of the client, so what are important in the patient's, from the patient's point of view. For the patient, the most important persons are her elder brother. Her elder brother is a very important key person in her life. And actually, the patient has developed some hatred towards the sister-in-law because the sister-in-law forbidden her to visit the brother. So that's the part of the conceptual world. And she also has been tied to the past. We have seen the graph where we see the present, past, and future. The patient has been quite fixated to the past because in the past, the father and the mother asked them to stay close to one another, and she wanted to fulfill this role, so such that she will still be capable of seeing the brother frequently. So this is the part where the conceptual world of the client is concerned. For the character type, our patient seems to be of a desire character because she has a very strong desire to the brother, to the elder brother. And she also is a sort of a deluded character because she seems to be fixated in the past and is not seeing the present situation in full. For the psychopathology, we can see that in this case, actually the patient has a strong desire to take care of the brother. And given that this desire has not been fulfilled, our client has a sort of a problem developing a hatred. The hatred is partly towards the sister-in-law, and then gradually it developed into a hatred towards herself. Okay, so that's the part on the psychopathology. For the treatment, shall I leave it with Professor, or shall I talk about it?
Treatment.
Okay, the treatment part. Now, earlier on when we mentioned about the serious problem in this case, because she lost interest in many different parts of the areas in her life, and that seems to be the case where the patient has suicidal thoughts and the risk of attempting suicide. So in this case, we consider it very important to fulfill her desire immediately, to get her to see the brother. So in this case, because it's an emergency case, we would like to bring all the important persons in this case together and reconcile together. So we would like to bring them all together, maybe explain the situation, maybe finding out the cause why the brother's wife prohibited the patient from seeing the brother. And by reconciling and by talking to one another, then the patient can then get to see the brother again. And then after that, we can start with mental development and cognitive transformation for all the persons involved. And for this element, for example, for the brother, the brother seems to think that, if my wife don't let her see me, then let my wife be. So maybe we can talk to the brother about this, whether this is the best way to deal with it, and other possible solutions to that. And we can also talk to the patient. For example, we can bring her back to the present situation where actually the brother moved on to have his own family, and she also has his own family to take care of, so bring her back to the present. And maybe for the behavioral transformation, we can suggest other means where they can continue to see each other and not disturbing so much the brother's family. For example, like the patient can, for example, invite the brother and the brother's wife to her home instead of always going over to visit his brother very frequently. So that's...
loving kindness.
Loving kindness. So we can ask the patient maybe to start meditation, metta meditation, send compassion to herself, send compassion to husband's wife, sorry, it's the brother's wife, and then that could help her to develop her metta and loving kindness.
Yeah. Enough. In this process, so this is very important to rank the problem. Here we firstly concern the most serious problem. So she is trying to commit suicide. At the very beginning, she just limit her visit to the garden. Little by little, she comes to the bed and limited her all things with the bed. No any idea to go to the outside. So we see that her desire is gone. So then we understand that she is really near to commit suicide. So we had to provide her the satisfaction, desire concerning her conceptual world. Within her conceptual world, their parent had mentioned that you should all the time continue your life with the brother. So she got it. She kept it in her mind. So that's how she developed her conceptual world. She had her own family, but her interested regarding the brother. And brother's wife, she had some sort of, the misunderstanding. What sort of connection in between this brother and sister? She came to sometime incest, some physical connection. There may be, but no such thing really. That she suspected really. So then we had to bring all, and and among themselves we had to especially explain brother's wife that this is the situation, this is so serious, this is your husband's sister. So we had to develop among them the loving kindness really.
Professor, thank you. That was very interesting. Thank you very much. I was curious to know about a situation where, for example, an aged person has given up the will to live. How would you deal with that? Thank you.
Will to live. Yes. Really, firstly, in the Buddhist psychotherapy, we mainly concern the conceptual world of the client. So when it comes to the conceptual world of the client, she has serious elements in her world. When it comes to serious elements, brother is the main figure more than the husband. So she had very big, strong desire. But she was refused to come there. So we really understood this situation. And we bring all family members together. We explain the client's situation to the brother's wife. And we really develop the faith in between the client and the brother's wife. She is the main, when it comes to the therapeutic process, we see the brother's wife is so strong here. So in between the client and the brother's wife, we develop the faith and as well as the loving kindness to each other. But in this problem, we see that brother did some wrongdoings. He kept silent. It's wrong. He would have explained this situation to his wife, but he didn't do so. So this is the process we did. So just after that, then the brother's wife understands this problem, and when she opens her house to the, their place, so she got the desire, energy, will. But we asked her to, the brother's wife, to just continue this process a little bit. Later on, we explained that you have your own family. So you should take care of your family. They have their own family, but you should not mix them together. We concern it as a mental development, samadhi. Then finally we explain her that what really had, this is your strong desire towards brother, and finally we explain her that she really finally was recovered. When she come to that situation, we explain her that you had really had the idea to commit suicide, but she was unable to understand at the very beginning, and even she refused at the final session to accept that she had such sort of desire. She refused. But we understood that she had that sort of triumph.
Of the nature of his emergency, because she's about to commit suicide, this took place in one session.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, this really happened in one session, from morning to evening. That's because we had no chance to continue this as a, how to say that, counseling session, no chance. Because she's strong idea to commit suicide. Then I stopped really my all the teaching there, getting the permission from the Vice Chancellor. Then especially we arranged. That's Buddhism. That's faith. So I dedicated my whole life. It's mean whole day on that day, from morning to evening, to settle down the problem. If not, if I just try to just continue this in a session by session, she would have almost died. That's the difference between it's a Buddhism. So I had to dedicate that day time.
Thank you, Professor, for the very interesting talk. Can you explain a little bit more on when we talked about the different tanhas, the last one, how the inability to satisfy our desires, I understand how it could lead to hatred, but how hatred will lead to self-annihilation?
Yeah. Okay, just as a class. Okay, there are various layers of the desire. Okay, so it's from the unenlightened to the enlightened level. Various, but when we are being disturbed, because I have strong attachment to my desire. My desire comes really from my own conceptual world within this pattern long body. So when I am being disturbed to accomplish my desire, so then desire provides us, according to Buddhism, another energy to flight or flies, no? So desire, when the desire is being disturbed, so desire provides energy to attack, reaction. So when we are being even failed to react, so the next tendency is commit suicide. That's how Buddha says that when we are being failed to even react to the things, the next tendency is really to drink poison, take some, the knife, and we commit suicide. Long analysis, how people are giving the hate to themselves. So many explanations.
Is it logical analysis?
Yeah, logical analysis. Logical analysis. For the main thing is that there's a sutra. This sutra is really Dhamma Chetya. Dhamma Chetya, yes. Okay, Dhamma Chetya. The first thing is that we have to have the desire. When we have the desire, we try to investigate it. When we investigate it, we sometimes catch it. When we are able to catch it, we protect it. When we are protecting it, sometimes others come to take it back. So at that time we get hate. So then we will have the arms, weapons. So we are killing each others. So if we are being unable to provide my hate so strongly, then I kill myself or to the others, or both, myself, others, or myself and others. This is a process. So there are other sutra even, when it comes to Cakkavattī Sihanada and so on, the Buddha says that this hate, desire is the important thing. Due to this desire, it comes from the individual and it comes to the society, it comes to the village, it comes to the universe, then whole universe will be destroyed due to one person's desire. Why it's explained that why this whole universe come to this destruction, Buddha says that desire. That is from Cakkavattī Sihanada Sutta. There are fighting sutta, Kalaha Vivada. So many Kalaha Vivada. Kalaha Vivada means killing, fighting with each others. Then there are other sutra Vivada Mula. Why these disputes comes into the world? all things according to desire. And when you are being disturbed to accomplish my desire, it comes as hate. So hate, it takes revenge from myself, others, from animals, from the trees, from the whole beings of the universe. So dangerous. Okay. Yeah.
How does this relate to the desire for enlightenment?
This, yeah.
And if there's any disruption to that desire?
So, Buddha here says that Sukha Kamani Bhutani, we all are the slaves of desire. We all are the slaves of desire. But there should be a very ethical ways and means to fulfill that. Then we become human being. That's a Buddhist explanation. But when you fulfill your desire in a moral way, so when you are fulfilling, you will really understand it. So, there is a very good sutra in Buddhism, Migasala. All sutras in my mind. Migasala. So in this Migasala Sutta, Buddha says that, so no need to renounce this world, no need to come to the temple, no need to be a monk. So we need monks. But it's okay, it's another point. But here Buddha says that staying at the family, having children, with the wife, you can go to Nibbana. That's the thing. So how? It means staying at the family life. So when you are staying at the family life, when you are fulfilling your desire, when you are enjoying, you will experience what is really this desire. What is really this enjoyment? Are there another enjoyment beyond this? Yes. What is that? Spiritual enjoyment, spiritual sex. Sorry. So in this way, then they try to figure out, they try to experience that spirituality. So they stay together, no any divorce cases. Now they are enjoying that spirituality. So then they develop their mentally to the optimum level. Then they can reach to Nibbana. It means that desire we need. So in the Buddhism, desire character is appreciated. But it is accepted as less problematic. That's less problematic. Problems are there. But we have to maintain. We have to understand it. So desire is to be here. So there are so many sutras. Chunky in that sutra Buddha says that faith really comes from the desire. Due to faith, it means desire you come and you sit and you listen. When you listen, you follow. When you follow, you understand something. When you understand something, you further investigate. Then you will meet. Then you will realize. So for the realization, you are led by the desire. So you need it. That's why you are here today. Okay? Okay. Another questions? Okay.
Any other questions?
Professor, the use of medication is mentioned just now. I know that in modern cognitive behavioral therapy, drug is rarely used. I mean, in what circumstances would the use of drug be justified? And I also like to point out that in Buddhism, drug or substance abuse, well, drug is a form of substance abuse. So would Buddhism promote the use of drug in any circumstances?
Yeah, here really now we have developed this subject in Sri Lanka up to master degree, MA in Buddhist Counseling. So I am trying to develop this into PhD in Buddhist Counseling. So in this process, so our understanding really from the Buddhist teachings that we are not going to separate from the modern. So I was influenced by the modern Western psychotherapy. I studied it. But my understanding is that there are some places where we have to link with together. When it comes to the schizophrenia, so we cannot use the meditation. When it comes to the highly depressed level, so we cannot use the meditation. So then no doubt that we have to use drugs. No doubt. So but when we are all the time using the drugs, I understand that. So no any recovery. So we just continue the drugs until they die sometime. So I had been hospitalized, not for me. I just visit the mental hospital when I was doing my PhD. I got a lot of experiences from the mental hospital. So it means that in my experiences, luckily I have now 5 or 6 psychiatric doctors, those who have done Buddhist psychotherapy. So they are very known to me. So when we have the client, so I suggest him that these are the levels I can involve, but these are the level I cannot. So this is how we work together. So if the problem is so serious, so he is to be given drugs. But while he is having drugs, if the psychiatric doctor can send the client to us, we also practicing our process. We are not going to separate. When we come to some middle level, we ask the psychiatric doctor that now I suppose that he is in some sort of level. Can we reduce a little bit dosage? But he should be a person who has studied and understood. This is the process I am practicing. That's the answer.
Thank you, Professor, for such an enlightening talk. Well, I would like to ask a question. If a patient who has been using drugs, who has also got a mental disorder, like schizophrenia, and he is quite stable in this condition, and he is studying Buddhism to a very good level, so can he do away with all the drugs?
Actually, the situation is this according, if I frankly speak, the problem is according to Buddhism. For example, we can show some example from the Buddhism. The therapy, the solution within the client itself, within himself. Until he, so no doubt that by following that sort of drugs and so on, we have to bring him to a present world. And just after bringing him to the present world, by following, so we are getting so many experiences from the Visuddhimagga. There are foods there. Because when it comes to serious level, we understand that desire, when it comes to the mentality, that is desire. But when it comes to the body, it becomes flame. So in the Buddhist process we studied here we discussed, there are some suitable levels regarding the character types. If I am the desire, so that client is to be prescribed suitable foods. And he has his own meditation. So when it comes to the meditation, color meditation, there are red, blue, white like that. So according to Buddhism, something is happened due to manifold causes. So his illness means not regarding one. But when it comes to the Western, I mean I'm not criticizing, I have big love. But so Western psychiatry can be divided into two, somatotherapy and psychotherapy. Somatotherapy means the area which concerns psychological illnesses caused by the biological process. And psychotherapy, psychological process. But Buddhism goes far beyond that. We are prescribing the solution to every and each causes. So for example, where is that psycho? Here, see, this is the individual. Individuals mean many causes, karmic influences. So psychological influences, ethical. If I am breaking my ethics, sometimes it causes mental illnesses. So parapsychological, there may be some sort of demonic god, so we cannot say that no, there isn't be. There are some, this may be sometimes cultural. So there is an example in the Vinaya Pitaka, one Buddhist monk, he was attacked by demon. That's an explanation. Then he himself went to a butcher's place and he ate raw blood and flesh. Then he got cured. Then this message sent to the Buddha. Buddha said, if somebody can get rid of by using that, I accept it. It may be some cultural or a religious or maybe parapsychological. So when it comes to the Visuddhimagga and the client, we try to figure out what are the causes around the client. So psychology is only one. The rupa, body is only one, physical. There are other factors. So when it comes to Buddhism, Abhidhamma Pitaka, Buddhist psychology, there are 24 causes. Pachaya, conditional analysis. It means that not only 24, it may be 20, it may be 8, it depends on the context. So in this context, it means when it comes to the Visuddhimagga, we are giving food, we are recommend the better places where he should live. For a desire, there are places. For a hatred, there are unsuitable places. So by following these factors, we believe that yes, we can figure out a solution for that client. We have some examples.
What has remained in him is just a biological condition where in his brain there is a kind of enzyme which is more than ordinary people, which makes him have hallucination. Yeah. But all of his mental problems have been cured already, and he has got only this biological condition. Yeah. So can you still recommend him to do away with his drugs if he reaches a certain level of Buddhism in his practice or studies?
Yeah, point is very clear. There are some biological factor there. So no doubt that we have to use drugs. That's the point.
So he still has to...
Yeah, drugs. That's the thing. Because we are following the causes. If there is a specific cause, so we cannot deny it. So we have to follow that cause.
Would it be long-term or
Yeah.
short-term use?
Yeah, excuse me, but when we are following other factors, but that cause may be minimized. That's the point in Buddhism. So when we are following other things, so even the biological means connection with the other. So that's why we are following other causes and giving the prescription and the treatment, then it is not so huge. It becomes minimized. That's the point. So please, your question.
Well, I was wondering whether would it be the use of drug, would it be short-term or long-term in the case?
It's really, we follow the cause and effect. Cause dependent originates. It should be decided within the context and following the causes. That's the point. So it means that Buddhism is not only we give the fire to the psychology, but when it comes to the other way around, when we are most probably develop our psychology, psyche, it affects on the even other factors. It is centered on the psyche. That's the point. The long term or short term should be decided by following the client and then his problem and the causes. Yeah.
So, Professor, there's a question here in the front row.
Yeah.
Professor, thank you very much for your talk.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to ask is that when the patient really want to commit suicide, will they actually tell you that, well, they want to commit suicide, right? How do you explore that he has that intention in mind?
You mean the client?
Yeah.
So you mean as the therapist, I should explain that?
No, well, if you see a patient, like this case,
Yeah.
she only said that she has lost energy.
Yeah.
She didn't say anything
Yeah,
before
yeah,
that
yeah.
she wants to commit suicide.
Yeah.
But how do you explore that out, that she has that intention? Because
Clear.
normally
Yeah.
when patient want to commit suicide,
Yeah.
the client want to commit suicide,
Yeah.
she wouldn't tell you
Yeah,
if
yeah.
she really wants to.
Yeah. So the question is very clear. The one thing is really through my experiences. See that firstly, when she was stopped by her sister, then she cannot go further. Then at the very beginning, she just went to she rotated around the village, garden, then she limits it into the some sort of areas. Then she limits into the home. Okay, then she limits into the some rooms. Then the room. Then within the room only the bed. No place where she can go again. It's mean that's through my experiences. So normally I see that is the nature of the client who going to commit suicide, the first thing. That's from the nature. That's from the nature. That's why I suddenly decided that I should stop everything and should give the priority to the client and the main cause of the problem. That's why we discuss here. Then other thing is that when it comes to the conceptual, in Buddhism gives much priority to the client conceptual world. For example, once Buddha was going for alms giving. One farmer criticized saying that you are begging, you are not earning anything. You are begging from others. This is for the Buddha. Buddha understood his world. He criticized that you are begging with other monks. See how many labor you are wasting. Then Buddha understood that he is correct. Because he is working hard and he is cultivating and he has to give these things to the Buddha. It's unfair. According to his conceptual, he is correct. Then Buddha said that you are correct. You are correct, but I am also cultivating. He said that I don't see. He said, because my seeds are faith. See how Buddha starts from his conceptual world? He knows only the seeds. What sort of seeds? I am using faith seeds. What is seeds? He starts his talking. I am also using the equipment of the agriculture, that's fear and terror. And I have the knowledge as the equipment. So by using his own conceptual words, Buddha had a chat and finally he realized what the Buddha said. It's not only the material things in this world. We need to have the spiritual things in the world. That's how we can balance. It's meaning when it comes to your question, first thing is that in the modern, I see that, modern psychotherapy, they all the time try to figure out the client from their own theories, their ways and means, their approaches. But in Buddhism, we try to understand the client from his own conceptual world. So when we are trying to figure out her conceptual world, she had very strong attachment to the brother. It's correct. It's the reality regarding her world. If she is losing, means no world for her, even though husband is there. So that's her reality. We call this conceptual world. Two worlds, conceptual world and ultimate world. So conceptual world is to be understood at the very beginning, then we bring the elements of the ultimate world. That's a balancing. Yeah.
Because of time, we're going to just limit to one more question, if possible.
Rosalia's question.
Yeah, thanks for sharing for the Buddhist psychotherapy. And you just talk a lot about the understanding the patient's conceptual world. And so I have a question about, can you comment on Western psychology, emotional focus therapy, this method, and the difference with psychotherapy?
Yeah. Psychotherapy means the Buddhism. You mean the Buddhist psychotherapy?
I mean your approach and
yeah.
the difference between emotional focus therapy in Western psychology.
Yeah, the thing is really, most probably I would like to start at the very beginning from the Buddhist psychotherapy. So, Buddhist psychotherapy is the system which is based on mind development as well as the very clear understanding on this reciprocal combination in between mind and body. That's the main thing what we have to figure out here. So, in this mind and body reciprocal combination, we gives the priority to this desire, hatred and delusion. So Buddhism accepts these things as the realities of the life. So we all have these things. Desire we have. No doubt that when it goes to the other highly enlightened levels, even we have to have the hate. Here hate means not really mere meaning. Even though I am enlightened, but if somebody comes to take my things, bring away, so I have to stop him. So the point is that we should not all the time be overwhelmed by them. Then we goes to the delusion. It becomes problem. So emotion, Buddhism really understand emotion as the good thing. We have to come up with the emotions. According to the Buddha says that, so emotion creates the world. But the things, when you are being deluded by it, it's not the emotion. For example, suppose the two persons, one is unenlightened and other one is almost enlightened. Suppose Arahant, they both see a beautiful lady like you. Then, so the person, the unenlightened person, he really, from his conceptual world, he has so many concepts what he has developed. Firstly, he brings all things and apply on her, he really takes them back. He really doesn't see the beauty. This is not the emotional. I mean, it's a defilement. What he did, unenlightened, he has his own conceptual world. He applies all things and he takes them back. He really doesn't see the beauty there. But proliferations here. But here, enlightened, no any defilement, fully liberated, nothing to apply. He just see the things as they are. True beauty he brings. So it's okay according to the Buddhist aspects. So here we don't believe these things as the emotion. They are really overwhelmed, misled. But if you see the things with the this is also emotion, but being based on the understanding. So these things brings the therapy, these things bring the disorders. Did you get it?